Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. Here to react to some of your hottest playoff hot takes. I tweeted out earlier today asking you to drop me your hottest playoff takes for me to react to in this video, and it was inspired by a couple of takes that I've seen on the timeline. I feel like the NBA playoffs bring out the hottest takes. There's a lot of recency bias type stuff, and so I kind of wanted to get some of your takes to kind of react to in this video. I'm going to start off, though, with going over a couple of takes that I saw that really kind of inspired this video, so if you want to leave me a hot take in the YouTube comment section below, maybe I'll react to it in a future video, or at least I'll give you my thoughts on it. And also leave a like and subscribe, helps me out a ton. Let's get into the takes. So the first take that really kind of kicked off this idea of making a hot takes video was this one from a reporter. I'm not going to put his name on the tweet, but he basically said that if the Pelicans offered the Warriors a swap with straight up Zion Williamson for Jordan Poole, the Warriors would probably hang up the phone. And I think it's really just a case of people forgetting how good Zion is. Zion averaged 27 points per game on ridiculous efficiency just last year. Sure, I know he's got his injury concerns and everything like that, but even still, if Zion plays anything close to the way that he played in that last season, and he was on this Golden State Warriors team, they are by far they're going to win the finals. Like, it's not even going to be close. They're going to be a super team, basically, because that would give them Steph, Clay, Draymond, Zion Williamson, Andrew Wiggins out there. It would be ridiculous. I don't know how you would stop that team offensively with Curry on the perimeter. It's perfect for Zion too, because Curry and Clay can space the floor. Draymond can hit some threes. Wiggins can hit threes. So you just run a small ball lineup with either Zion or Draymond at the center in your death lineup that you run out there. No one's going to stop that team offensively. There's nothing you can do. He'd average like 35 in the system that the Warriors could put around him. So no, they do not hang up the phone. In fact, I would imagine, take that immediately. I don't care about his injury concerns or anything like that. And Jordan Poole's been great. He's been, in my opinion, the most improved player this season. But even still, it's Zion Williamson. Let's chill out a little bit with the recency bias. This next take is from Reddit, which was posted onto Twitter by my good friend Dwani, who made the logo for this channel. Go follow her on Twitter. She's awesome. But it's just basically from the Raptors Reddit, and it was basically just talking about how Embiid doesn't have a lot of skill. He's a dirty player, and that he knows what he's doing. He knows that it's dirty. He doesn't care if people get hurt. They called Serge Ibaka a more skilled player than Joel Embiid, and this is something that kind of I've seen a lot recently, especially in this first round. People are really toxic when the NBA playoffs come around, and I mean, I understand being super invested. The playoffs are the most important time of the season, so I understand you really want your team to win, and I'm sure that creates a lot of animosity towards the other teams. But like, come on, saying that a player is purposely injuring your players, saying that he's knowingly dirty, and maybe even worse, saying that he's Joel Embiid, a top 3 MVP candidate, and a guy that even guys on the Raptors like Fred VanVleet himself compared Joel Embiid to like Shaq and Kobe mixed. So you're going to say that he's less skilled than Serge Ibaka when Fred VanVleet, a guy on your own team, said something like that? I understand having beef or like being intense in a playoff series with your fandom, but like, you got to be kind of realistic. Now we're going to move into some of the takes that y'all gave me on Twitter, starting off with one from @KawhiSeason_, who says that the Bucks have zero chance of winning the finals. Last year was a fluke due to perfect injury timing and their only opportunity. I completely disagree. I think that the Bucks, to me, are the most complete team in the Eastern Conference. They've got the best player in the world in Giannis Antetokounmpo, who dropped 50 in a closeout game in the NBA Finals. So if there's anyone who can do it, it's him. You've got a great second option in Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, who's been really good over the course of this year and has the perimeter skills to lock up a lot of the great perimeter players that you need to lock down. And same having Giannis, not only offensively but defensively, having a guy like that. Mike Budenholzer, I still don't think is the greatest coach in the world, but in my opinion, it doesn't really matter because he's won an NBA Finals. He's shown that he can do it. They beat a great Phoenix Suns team last year, and they've only gotten better. I think right now with the additions of like having Grayson Allen there, Bobby Portis is better than he was last year. Brook Lopez is fully healthy now. Wesley Matthews. You've done enough to make this team better, and I think they're more cohesive. They are more than able to go in and repeat. I think that right now the Bucks are my second favorite team to repeat or to win the NBA championship behind the Phoenix Suns. Although the Devin Booker injury definitely might change things. We'll see how that impacts their run, but ultimately I think the Bucks can more than, in fact, I think they're the favorite in the Eastern Conference at this moment. If I had to pick one team to come out, I'm picking the Bucks, so I really don't agree with this take. This next take comes from Ramon_Rican, who said that the Warriors were always the best team in the league, and everyone who thought otherwise were ignoring the injuries they dealt with in the regular season and undervalued the playoff experience that their core has. I don't necessarily agree with this one. I do think the Warriors were undervalued going into the playoffs. I know a lot of people had them kind of bowing out in like the second round. To me, they're a Western Conference Finals team. I still don't know if they're the best team in the league. Like, this take kind of makes it seem like it's like by far the best team in the league, or pretty much consensus. But to me, the Suns and the Bucks are two really good teams as well that I think I would have on the same tier as the Warriors, if not better. For me, it's just, I think part of the reason why they're not viewed as such a complete team is because of the injuries. I think that obviously everyone knew that the injuries kind of took them down a little bit, and that I think for me personally, I thought it was going to take a little bit longer for them to come around with injuries. I do think the Warriors were undervalued. Hell, I had the Nuggets bringing this thing to 7, which I don't think is going to happen anymore. And I think that was partially because I undervalued what they did earlier in the season and when they are fully healthy. But even still, I don't think it's like a consensus thing that they're the best team in the league. They definitely are on that upper tier with a few other teams. But for right now, I feel like it's kind of just a bunch of teams up there at the top. The Warriors aren't necessarily at the top of that group. This next take comes from @BigBallerCrab, who says that the Bulls could have beaten the Bucks if they had Lonzo Ball. No, I don't think so. Lonzo, I think, makes a big difference on this team. His playmaking, his defensive versatility, I do think he is super critical to this team. I mean, we saw what Alex Caruso was able to do as a good defensive guard in that game 1. He had Chris Middleton kind of in prison in that game 1, but overall, I don't think adding Lonzo Ball makes them better than the defending champions to win in 4 of a 7-game series. To me, the Bucks are just kind of on a different tier. I think that their perimeter defense is all right, would be obviously better with Lonzo Ball, but it doesn't fix the issue, the fact that Giannis can just dominate them whenever. They really don't have a threat to stop him inside. They don't have a 4, and Vucevic can't really stop him either. They've just kind of been inconsistent this season, and I do think injuries did derail them a lot, but right now I do think there is still more for them to do to become a contender on the tier of the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they need to add a bigger inside presence than Vucevic, because ultimately, while Vucevic is a solid, albeit if inconsistent, offensive threat, he's not going to stop Giannis or any, like, imagine if they went up against like the Sixers in a playoff series, what Joel Embiid would do to that team. I don't think that they're better than the Bucks, and to me, the Bucks are the best team in the Eastern Conference, so that would mean that the Bulls have a chance to win the finals, and I just don't think, even with Lonzo Ball, they would quite be there. I think that next year, if they make some moves, they could try and get up to that tier, but for right now, I think they're kind of just a tier below. This next take comes from JakeFinnW3, who says that Luka coming back will make the Jazz play better. I completely disagree with this one. I think if Luka had played game 1 and played through really this entire series healthy, this thing's over in 5. I really don't think the Jazz would have been able to put up much of a fight, because you watch right now, like you watch last game with Jalen Brunson, what he did to the Jazz defense on the perimeter, just dribble penetration, there was nothing they could do. Now imagine if that was Luka. If Luka was doing that and driving into the basket, just a little more offensively and especially playmaking wise more skilled than Jalen Brunson, the passes he could have made out of situations, like he would have been doing what Jalen Brunson did, but he might have dropped like 50 or 60 in a game against this Utah Jazz team at full strength. I just think the Mavericks are a really bad matchup for them, and Luka Doncic being out is really the only thing kind of giving the Jazz a chance, and even then last game they lost. It might make it a little more conventional for them to game plan, because I'm sure coming into this series they expected Luka to be back, and so they've game planned for him. But to me, Luka Doncic just makes it so difficult for the Jazz to win. Obviously, it is kind of an adjustment to go from having to play a team without Luka to one having to play with him. But overall, I think Luka Doncic just makes this team so much better. Having him and Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie as playmakers would be lethal. One of the biggest issues that the Mavericks had in that first game was when Jalen Brunson or Spencer Dinwiddie were out, there was no one to play make. When there was only one of them in there, they couldn't really make the plays. It took a huge effort from Jalen Brunson to take that second game, their first win of the series. But if it was Luka Doncic out there and you had him, Brunson, Dinwiddie, and you had 2 of them on the court at all times, the Jazz are toast, in my opinion. So I don't agree with this one. I think once Luka comes back, it's going to be hard for the Jazz to take many more games. Of course, depending on his health. If he comes back and he's really hobbled, then maybe that changes things. But overall, Luka coming back, I think, spells the end for the Utah Jazz. This final take comes from my brother at NinjaBands on Twitter, and a lot of people put something similar to this under the post, but he said that the Pelicans are going to beat the Phoenix Suns in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Now, of course, this is coming after their Game 2 win in Phoenix. Devin Booker in the second half got hurt and did not play, and now there's reports that he might not play or probably won't play games 3 and 4. So those 2 games in New Orleans, we'll see how they go, but that really does open up things for the Pelicans to try and take a game or 2. But for me, I still think Phoenix closes this one out. I think it'll go to like maybe 6 games and Phoenix still wins, even without Devin Booker. I just think they're too good of a team. They're really well coached with Monty Williams. The Pelicans have been super fun. They've been great to watch. They're gritty, and I do think that the way that they've been playing, they do present a really tough matchup for the Suns. Brandon Ingram being a guy that can hit whatever shot he wants. CJ McCollum providing a new element to that offense. Defenders and Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, Jonas Valanciunas being a big body down low. I do think the Pelicans give them some problems, but even still, I think Chris Paul, the surrounding pieces, I think guys will step up. We've seen it in the past when Chris Paul or Devin Booker has missed time. Guys on this team step up. They didn't win 60 plus games for no reason. Even though I do think the Pelicans have more of a shot to take the series now, I still don't see it happening. I still think the Phoenix Suns come out on top in probably 6 games, depending on when Devin Booker comes back. If he misses these next 2 games, things do get more interesting, but overall, I still think it's Phoenix's series. But tons of credit to the Pelicans, though. They have been phenomenal, not just in Game 2 where they won, but in Game 1, they really gave them a lot more trouble than I thought they would. In Game 2, of course, going toe-to-toe with them in the clutch is super impressive against a team like Phoenix. But overall, I still think this is Phoenix's series to lose, even without Devin Booker. I just think they're that good. And those were your NBA hottest playoff takes. If I didn't get to yours, I apologize. There were a lot of great ones in there, but I had to pick the few that I had the most to say about. So if I didn't pick your take, I apologize. But I'm going to be making more of these videos throughout the playoffs, so follow me on Twitter to get your chance to be in one of these videos. Also, comment down below and let me know a hot take that you have about the NBA playoffs. I'd love to read them and talk with y'all in the comments. Also, leave a like and subscribe. Helps me out a ton. And yeah, so if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you watching. It means a lot to me. I will see you all later. Real one, say it back.